Alright, what is going on? Everybody, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Star guide, and today I'll be providing a full build guide on Sparkle. Sparkle will be a part of the second half of 2.0 along with the Jingwan rerun, and so today I'm going to be going over her kit, her best Lightcones, her best relics, and her best stats. Before I get into the video, if you guys could drop a sub and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this. I still am planning on making a Jingwan build guide shortly. I already have made a video for both Black Swan and Imbibitor Luna Donheng, so be sure to check out my channel for those two videos, for those two upcoming characters, and yeah, let's get straight into the video. So Sparkle is a Quantum Harmony character, and her basic attack deals quantum damage equal to 100% of Sparkle's attack to a single target enemy. Her skill increases the crit damage of a single ally by 24% of Sparkle's crit damage plus 45% lasting for one turn. So just from that alone, you can see she scales off her crit damage similar to Bronia, and at the same time, advances forward this ally's action by 50%. So not only are you giving them a crit damage buff based on Sparkle's crit damage, you are also giving them a forward ally action by 50%. And similar to Bronia, when Sparkle uses this ability on herself, the action advance effect will not trigger. Her ultimate recovers 4 skill points for the team and grants all allies Cypher. When allies with Cypher trigger the damage boost effect provided by Sparkle's talent, each stack additionally increases its effect by 10%, lasting for 2 turns. And so her talent, while Sparkle is on the battlefield, additionally increases the max number of skill points by 2. So, with this, you will not be capped to 5 skill points, you will have a total of 7 max skill points, which is insane. Whenever an ally consumes 1 skill point, all allies' damage increases by 6%, which is also super good, especially with characters that are skill point hungry or teams that are skill point hungry. And this effect lasts for 2 turns and can stack up to 3 times. So as you recall from the ultimate, allies with the Cypher will trigger the damage boost effect provided by her talent, which is this part right here with the skill points being consumed. It will additionally increase the effect by 10%. So instead of 6%, if they have Cypher and they proc this, they will get a 16% damage bonus, which is absolutely crazy, and that can stack up to 2 times, or 3 times, sorry. And so that is a max of 48% damage bonus if you have all stacks, which is incredible. Her technique, using this technique will grant all allies stealth for 20 seconds, similar to Zele's technique. Characters in stealth will not be detected by enemies, and entering battle while in stealth recovers 3 skill points for the team. So going into the battle, you'll have an extra 3 skill points starting off. Her bonus ability increases all allies' attack by 15% when there are 1, 2, 3 Quantum allies on your team. Quantum type allies' attacks are increased by 5, 15, and 30%, again, corresponding to how many you have. So this part is useless when you are not running her on a mono quantum team, which she is still good on non-mono quantum teams. I keep seeing people say that because of this, she is only good on mono quantum. That is not true. It is not true. She is really good on other teams as well. Her second ability, the crit damage boost effect provided by the skill lasts until the start of the target's next turn. And her third skill, which is really good for having uptime on her ult, when using basic attack, additionally regenerates 10 energy. So when you don't use her skill, she gets 10 energy, which is by just using the basic attack. It's really good to keep uptime on that ult. And so now really quickly going over her Eidolons. So her first Eidolon, the Cypher effect applied by the ultimate lasts for 1 extra turn. All allies affected by the Cypher have their attack increased by 40%. So not only with the Cypher plus talent you gain the damage boost, you are now getting 40% attack, which is really good. For second Eidolon, each talent stack allows allies to ignore 8% of the enemy target's defense when dealing damage to enemies. So, more stacks you have on the talent, you can ignore more defense, plus 8 every time. Very powerful. Fourth Eidolon, the ultimate recovers 1 more skill point. The talent additionally increases max skill points by 1. So instead of going up to 7, you can have 8 max skill points. And our final Eidolon, the crit damage boost effect of Sparkle's skill additionally increases by 30% of Sparkle's crit damage, so even bigger buff. And her skill's crit damage boost effect will apply to all allies currently with Cypher. So not only will you get it to the person you choose to give it to, if your team has Cypher, they will also get it. Super good for the whales. Very powerful. Moving on to her best Lightcones. Her best Lightcone is obviously going to be her own. It is made for her. It is very powerful. What her Lightcone does is increases the wearer's crit damage by 32%. And again, she scales off her crit damage for her buff, which is just 32% right here. So, stat stick. Boom. The wearer gains mask at the beginning of battle for 3 turns. While the wearer has mask, the wearer's allies have their crit rate increased by 10% and crit damage increased by 28%. So not only does she scale for crit damage, giving crit damage to your allies and stuff, now with this Lightcone, she gives herself crit damage so she can scale even better, and she gives your team crit rate and more crit damage if you have the mask effect active. So good already. Every time the wearer recovers a skill point, including skill points exceeding the limit, they gain a stack of Radiant Flame. And when the wearer has 4 Radiant Flame stacks, removes all stacks and gains mass for 4 turns. So this Lightcone is the best of the best for her. Is made for her. It is super good. So another option if you are not going to be going for a Lightcone is actually Bronia's Lightcone, and what it does is increase the wearer's energy regeneration rate by 10%, so this will help her keep uptime on her ult. And it also regenerates 1 skill point when the wearer uses their ultimate on an ally. So getting extra regeneration rate for your ult and also recovering a skill point when you use your ult is good, but the effect can only be triggered once every 2 times you use your ult. So if you use your ult the first time, you'll recover a skill point. When you use it again, you won't recover a skill point, but if you use it again after that, it will recover a skill point. So pretty much it's like, you get the skill point, you don't get the skill point, you get the skill point, you don't get the skill point, you get the skill point, on and on. When the wearer uses their skill, the next ally taking action except the wearer deals 30% more damage. So the person you use the skill on with Sparkle, you also give them a damage increase from this Lightcone as well. So it is a very powerful option, so you could use this on her if you have her and you don't plan on getting a Lightcone, and if you have this Lightcone. So this Lightcone is only good if you're not planning on going for a signature Lightcone, and if you don't have Bronia's Lightcone, and you plan on mainly using her on the Mono Quantum team, because what it does is after entering battle, if an ally deals the same damage type as the wearer and she is Quantum, damage dealt increases by 12%, and this is one that a lot of people have R5, so that 12% becomes 21%. So getting a free 21% damage bonus, which again, you can be running out with like DLA, QQ, on Mono Quantum, so giving them 20% damage dealt is nice. It doesn't really do anything for herself, like it doesn't give you like any energy regeneration rate to give you more uptime on your ult. It doesn't give you crit damage, so it's on the weaker side, but it is usable if you don't have any other options. And a better overall option is Past and Future. What it does is when the wearer uses their skill, the next ally taking action except the wearer deals increased damage by 16% for 1 turn. And at R5, that 16% doubles and becomes 32%. So this is also a solid option if you don't have any of the other ones, or you're not planning on using our Mono Quantum with the Asta one I just talked about. Overall, you're going to want to kind of fine tune your team to make sure when you do pop the skill on your DPS that they will be the one going next, which isn't going to be that bad because you do advance forward their action by 50%, so this one can work pretty easily with her. So moving on to her best relics, her best relic for now is going to be the Messenger traversing hackerspace, and that is due to the fact that there are no 4 pieces that really benefit her overall while increasing her crit damage by any means. So the best one is going to be the one with the speed. So what this one does is increase the speed by 6%, and this is good because you're also going to want to build her with speed so she has more turns. Obviously with more turns you can provide the skill more to your team and obviously get better uptime on your ult. And the 4th piece, when the wearer uses their ultimate on an ally, speed for all allies increases by 12% for 1 turn, and this effect cannot be stacked. And since you are using it on an ally, aka your entire team, this will proc, and so giving them speed, very good. And this will be her best in-slot relic set. I definitely recommend going this because she doesn't have too many other options. The only other relic set for I can say is the Musketeer. Reason for that is 1, it's easy to get, and 2, attack increases by 12%, 2 pieces, whatever. And the 4 piece, the wearer's speed increases by 6% and basic attack damage increases by 10%. The whole reason this can work is because of this part right here. The rest, again, you're not building her to do damage. This is practically useless, and the attack is whatever. So this is like all you can really use, and there really isn't much to build her. So this is like D1 you want to have at 4 piece. So if you don't have this, it might be a little rough to build her, because she doesn't have insane flexibility as like something like a DPS would. So I definitely recommend trying to get at least a set that could work on her. As for our planet ornaments, this does depend on what you're doing. So the Penacony set, you're going to want to run this if you are putting her on Mono Quantum. And that's because it increases the wearer's regeneration rate by 5% and increases damage by 10% for all other allies that are the same type as the wearer. So obviously if you're running her on Mono Quantum, this would not be an issue. You would get the 5% regeneration rate, and you would also get the 10% damage dealt for your team. Obviously applying to your DPS being Zayla or QQ, very good. But again, run this if you are putting her on Mono Quantum. Otherwise, another one you could do that's really good is Broken Keel. Reason Broken Keel is good is because it increases the wearer's effect res by 10%, which is, it can be helpful when you're fighting someone that could freeze, stun, all that kind of stuff. And when the wearer's effect res is at 30% or higher, all allies' crit damage increases by 10%. So obviously giving your DPS and stuff more damage with the crit damage buff is obviously going to be a big W. This also does apply to herself, so the scaling becomes even better and easier to do because you get another 10% from this ornament. And another option is the Fleet of the Ageless, and what it does is increases the wearer's max HP by 12%, giving you some more survivability. And when the wearer's speed reaches 120 or higher, which with her, you're going to be building her with a good amount of speed, so that is practically free. All allies' attack increases by 8%, so you're giving your allies an 8% attack bonus. And since she is an offensive support, that is going to be really helpful, so this is another really good option. Again, to reiterate, only use the Penacony one if you're using her on Mono Quantum. My next best recommendation would be Broken Keel, and if you don't have Broken Keel or you don't want to, you can do the Fleet of the Ageless. As for her substats, again, as I usually always say, the head and hands you cannot change. For the body, you are going to run crit damage, obviously, because she does give more crit damage based on her own crit damage. So you want to give her a bunch of crit damage around to her cap, which is around 240 if I recall correctly, so make sure you don't overshoot too high. But you do definitely want to have a lot of crit damage on her. And with the feet, you want to give her speed. For the planet ornaments, for the orb, you want to give her HP percent because she's not a DPS. You're going to want to be giving her survivability. And for the rope, you're going to give her energy regeneration rate so she can obviously get her ult faster. As for the substats, the priority is going to be speed and crit damage around the equal amount because obviously you want to have a bunch of speed on it so she does have time going first. She is able to have a lot of turns, obviously more turns. The easier it is to have your skill active on your allies, easier to get your ult, very helpful overall. And crit damage also because her skill and her kit revolves around her own crit damage, scaling off it, giving your allies more crit damage based on her own crit damage, so obviously you'd want to get a bunch of crit damage. You want to make sure you don't overshoot though, because I'm pretty sure her cap for the crit damage she can give is around 240-ish, so make sure you don't overshoot and go up to like 260%. Around the 200s will be very, very good for her, so you definitely want to make sure you can get around 200-ish, but you also want to make sure you have enough speed to where you're probably faster than your DPS so you can apply the buff before your DPS goes. So around the speed, obviously the sweet spot would be around 135 to 142, but you want to tune that to your team. So say your Zele has 142 speed, you definitely want to make sure Sparkle has like 143 or higher just so she can go before Zele goes, so you can provide the buff to her, and so your Zele hits even harder. And yeah, that is the build guide. That is how you build Sparkle. I really hope you guys found this video helpful. Let me know if you guys are going to be summoning, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.